flip through the worn pages of Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. Flashes of black underlines skim by like highways to other worlds, and the faded gold of highlighted sentiments flicker like stars. I follow the lines and blocks of gold into worlds that aren't my own, until I come across a sentence that brings me home. I got you to look after me, and you got me to look after you, and that's why. Growing up, I'd always wanted to feel looked after, but there often wasn't anyone to do the looking after. With Mom serving felony charges, Dad had to take care of us kids and the bills that piled up on the dusty kitchen table. He disappeared into the meth lab he built in the garage of our sun-bleached house, unnoticed, on the corner of a godforsaken town off the old Route 66 in California. Dad would get so strung out he'd be up for weeks, but I didn't know the difference. I didn't notice the dark circles under his fading gray eyes, the sharp ridge of his shoulders poking through his baggy t-shirt like a coat hanger, or the extra holes he'd made in his belt with a screwdriver to hold his pants up. I only noticed his absence, and hers, and the scent of wet paint, of bleach and cat urine, the scent of methamphetamines. Loss of appetite, loss of sleep, loss of her, the scent of loss. To escape the jaw-clenching silence of meth fumes seeping through the walls, we, my brother and me, wandered outside into the desert wasteland, disquiet among the tumbleweeds. Waiting. For what? For her? For Dad to come back to us to laugh again? For the wind to stop smacking our faces? For dinner? Eternal waiting. I run my finger across that sentiment held in the gold bar of ink. I bring the page to my nose, the scent of drying paint thinner, of diesel fuel, of the invisible ink that stained the inside of my wrist. Visitor, alien, transient, the scent of having no home. I read it again, running the soft flesh of my finger over the words. I got you to look after me, and you got me to look after you, and that's why. I found someone who was good at doing the looking after, but when I found him, he too needed to be looked after. So we looked after each other. That's why. Homeless and struggling, Perry was staying at an artist commune next to the Los Angeles River in downtown. Paint on his shoes, whiskey on his breath, and sleeplessness under his eyes, the scent of creation. The skin that spread across the bones of his shoulders was splattered with blemishes, swatches of varying shades of red, a reaction to the stained and soiled couch he slept on, a map sprawled across his shoulders of the life he's lived. I traced up the ridges of his spine, through the field of imperfections dotted across his frame like the unwanted blooms of dandelions. My hands were lost in the dark sea of his wild curls, curls that looked like Mom's. His sad black eyes, the suffocating layers of loneliness, his wandering nature, the lines he blurred, the darkness that haunted him. It felt comforting and familiar. It felt like Mom. It felt like home. Perry filled the gaping hole she'd left in my being. We didn't have to define who or what we were. We just were. We soaked up the thoughts of one another like the cholla cactus after a rain. Wordless, but understood. He moved in with me, into my crumbling apartment by the marina, on the west side of the city. The air was always wet and filled with the creaking of boats. The constellation that once spread across Perry's shoulders had disappeared like the stars in our light-polluted sky. Legs intertwined, we listened to the seabirds in the mist and read the words of our favorite poets well into the dark, until our eyes squinted and burned, until morning came and kissed our eyelids. The scent of the coast and the sunset-colored bougainvillea made its way into our dreams. The scent of something true. The scent of home.